Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. And I'm your host, Randy Sharman. Travel expert Onanta Forbes continued her cruise down the west coast of Africa last week, so we'll get an update from her in a few seconds on what she's been up to. Plus, what's the best travel rewards credit card? We'll find out when Patrick Sojka from Rewards Canada joins us for our monthly visit, as they recently released their 18th annual list of the top travel rewards credit cards. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hello, Onanta.
Hello from West Africa again.
Well, I've been following your latest adventures on Instagram. Some amazing photos. It looks like an amazing trip. So give us an update. Where are you now and where have you been?
So today I'm at sea, and we're actually going to be arriving in Namibia tomorrow in Walvis Bay, and really looking forward to it because we've had 3 days at sea and they've been nice, but sometimes, it's just nice to get off the boat as well. And I thought what I would share with you is, what it is like to sail to West Africa. Like we've come through Europe where the ports are polished, the excursions are predictable, and everything runs on cruise time. But West Africa isn't so much like that. And it becomes clear almost immediately. The ports aren't built around cruise tourism, and you feel that the moment that you arrive. It is a once-in-a-lifetime cruise, and I would definitely recommend cruisers that are repeat cruisers and have kind of gone off the beaten path to try it. But it does demand a different mindset. So like places like Dakar and Banjul are busy, they're loud, they're unpredictable. Things run on local time, not ship time. And before we could even leave the port, you have to wait for clearance from local custom authorities, and that didn't always happen on schedule. In one port, we were delayed almost an hour before the excursions could even begin. But oddly enough, that unpredictability kind of becomes part of the experience. Nothing is staged, and it's like real life unfolding around us. But logistically, it could be rough. Like when we went into San Tomé and Principe, they actually said, the cruise people, because we had to tender, number one, and number two, the exit from the tender up to the port level, like the ground level, it's very much narrow, high stoned. So some people with mobility challenges were actually told not to go. And you have to be expected of that because the port was undeveloped for what we're used to in Europe or the Caribbean. Sometimes taxis could get lost. If you were one of those brave souls that thought, oh no, I'm going to rent a car, check your car. Like you might see that there was a spare tire, but are there the instruments to change a spare tire, with that spare tire? Because you could actually miss the boat if you can't change your tire, right?
Mm-hmm.
The vehicles aren't modern. Infrastructure is probably lagging behind what most cruisers are used to. If you were that independent soul, it sometimes wasn't easy, and you have to be flexible. So you have to accept that changes or plans might change or not happen at all, but that's okay. That's just what it is. But when you get here and you visit the ports, one of the most powerful aspects is the history, like visiting, standing in front of the door of no return at Goree Island in Senegal. That's pretty deeply moving. It's not just a sightseeing stop. It provides some context and kind of reflection of what history kind of is or was. There's also a stark contrast between ship and shore. So on board, life is comfortable, like modern amenities, good food, a sense of, goodwill, camaraderie between your passengers. When you step off the ship, you're climbing into open air vehicles, heading out on dusty roads. So it's different, right? Like the ship's stable and safe, where exploring places may not be as polished or easy. And I'm enjoying my trip. Like I'm
Hmm.
definitely getting to see places I've never seen before. And honestly, Randy, I never thought I'd come to a place like Togo before, right? Whoever
Yeah.
thought that
Well,
I'd go
even
to a
the
voodoo
fact that
ceremony?
you mentioned the door of no return just kind of smacks you in the face,
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing, right? And it was interesting too because we also went to a voodoo ceremony, and it's an actual voodoo ceremony. It's like a
So mind your
there's
P's and Q's when you're there. You never know.
well, they kind of illustrate. They don't actually do it like a chicken sacrifice, and
Oh.
it's like and then so people who are prone to loving animals or squeamish might not appreciate that,
Hmm.
or they would show how a fake fight in the voodoo ceremony between the men, or they show perhaps like some of the libations would make you kind of feel like they look like they were drunk and stumbling. So it was very eye opening for me. It was anyway. And then we were in this village, and so all the little kids were quite, interested in the tourists that were there. And one lady, so you have to be careful of this, had some candy. So she pulled out
Oh.
this bag of candy for a couple of kids. Then all of a
Hmm.
sudden, a lot more kids showed up.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're pretty
you don't
fun.
want to be doing that. You're asking for
No,
trouble doing that.
right. So it's part of the cruise. It's not for everybody. It's not for travelers looking for luxury at every turn. Because when you think of region, it is luxury, and you need to have a decent level of physical fitness, patience, and an adventurous spirit, and also health prep matters too, right? So I have a personal medical kit that I have. Like I nick my finger, so it. At home it wouldn't mean anything, but here I made sure like we had polysporin and a
Hmm.
band-aid,
Hmm.
and you have to be careful with that. And even with vaccinations, like people did get sick, so you have to be realistic about where you are and what resources you have. um but then things like Ghana stood out, like the inland excursions gave some real depth. Visiting Cape Coast tied so much of what we had already seen earlier in the journey. The guides were good. They're probably not as refined and polished as perhaps other guides that you had in Europe, but they explained it with confidence, and they're welcoming and organized. But they don't sugarcoat stuff. Like they tell you exactly what it is, because slavery, or the history of slavery, is definitely part of the fabric of the places that you're visiting. Also, so today we're heading into Namibia. So you're seeing that the landscapes are going to be different, going to see more marine life. So for the whole time I've been on board since mid-December, I've only seen one school, and I don't know if that's the right word, school of dolphins, the whole time we've been here. Um, and then but and then you're going to have a little bit more time at sea, and then so we haven't hit Namibia yet, but I have been Namibia before, and I love it. It's great. I'm going to go to a new place. It's called Walvis Bay. It's the captain says that you're going to see like sea lions sunning themselves as you enter the port. You're gonna, see massive dunes kind of rolling straight into the ocean, and the wildlife will be better, or will be more, not better. I didn't mean it that way. And then even like so new this year, or I guess it's 2026, new in 2025. You now need an visa to come into Namibia, and you cannot leave the ship if you don't have it.
Hmm.
And then there's a mandatory face-to-face inspection that happens for all guests. That they have to um, go and have a conversation with the customs officer, and that's also for arrival and departure. So things that I would say Regent is really good about getting their guests prepared. Also, you have to have a yellow fever card, and you have to show that yellow fever card way back in Barcelona before you even started the journey.
Mm.
So you, and if you don't, you can't come on board, right? And you don't want that because
No,
that's
exactly. So did you know all
absolutely.
this before you got on the cruise? I know you're a travel expert and things like that, and you're the one that people go to organize this stuff. So did you know all this prior?
I Again, kudos to Region. They were sending you multiple, and I mean multiple emails about these are the visas you need in the different places. These are the visas you need to get on your own. As a Canadian, I didn't need the visa for the Gambia, but I did need it for Ghana. But you could do it through Regent, like just pay a fee, and they arranged it.
Hmm.
But for Namibia, it's a new process for the country, and for us, it was pretty straightforward. But for other guests, the site kept on crashing, and one of my guests, they went on a land African safari through Botswana, and you had to go through Namibia, and they had all the documents and all of it filled out, all the forms. But again, it's so new. The lady, the customs lady in this little beautiful little shack on the side of the river said, no, I want everything filled out new. So
Oh
it is
my
so new.
gosh.
Yeah. So be careful. And it does cost you money. And I did see some people in the internet cafe scrambling to get their e-visa for Namibia because they wanted to go ashore. Um, and the site wasn't reliable, but you just have to motor on and try and get it done, right? So it's so you do have to prepare not only logistically but mentally as well as physically.
Mm.
Um, coming here, and again, it's not like I've never been a cruise. I'm going to go on this cruise.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the one for a first timer, is what you're saying.
No, no. And then the cruise will end up in Cape Town, which will be amazing because, you're going to see sites like Table Mountain. You're going to see or learn or not learn, but maybe um, refresh your memory about history with Nelson Mandela, which is quite amazing. And depending on where you stay at the wharf, it's a beautiful city and something to look forward to. Again, we've been to Cape Town before, but again, just another part of Africa that perhaps you haven't been to. Like again, people may have gone to Egypt or Kenya or Tanzania first. But traveling down the African coast, kind of gives you a broader view of how diverse the continent really is, whether it's culturally, geographically, or historically. It's not always comfortable, it's not always smooth, but it's very interesting and
Oh, I
worth doing
bet.
for sure.
I
Yes.
bet. I'd be interested rather to know some of the comments from other guests. Have you heard or overheard comments? Because if you weren't expecting those conditions at port, then it would be an eye opener, and some people might not like it.
Absolutely. Yes. But I do have to say, these are well traveled cruisers. I was just chatting with a lady. Actually, she's from Niagara in Ontario. And before she came on this 25-day cruise, she was on a 16-day Azamara cruise. So these people are cruisers and
Mm.
they have the time, the resources to do it. And I don't know if this is a cruise that you wouldn't want the assistance of a travel expert or professional because you do need to be on your toes for different things that you need to prepare for. Africa, even if you're going on a safari, you need to have somebody that knows their stuff,
Hmm.
making sure that you're prepared. That's my thoughts anyway.
Oh, for sure. The last thing you want is to forget something or didn't know about something, and now you're stuck. You don't get to do what you want to
Absolutely.
do, or you don't even get to go on the ship, like you were mentioning before.
Yeah, yeah. Like, could you imagine arriving into Barcelona and not having your yellow fever card? And you said, no, you can't come. And
Hmm.
I don't think it will be super easy to just run down to the local pharmacist in Barcelona and get your yellow fever shot.
Yes, I don't think so either. The ship's not going to wait for you.
No. No, but as we enter the final stages of our cruise, I have to say that Region has done a very nice job of getting us to each port. We didn't miss a port. We've had good weather. Today's a bit choppy, but nothing horrid at all. Like you are on the open seas,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's always nice when you don't miss a port. I think.
Yes.
I feel I remember one time I was in the Caribbean and it was a hurricane, so it was legitimate. And we couldn't go to Grand Cayman. It's like, oh, I want to
Mm-hmm.
go to Grand Cayman, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I have more days at sea. And sometimes that extra day at sea is kind of like, oh, I don't want to spend more days at sea. I want to go on port.
Well, that used to happen as a crew member. I remember in Nassau, because Nassau has got a very narrow entrance. If you've ever
Yes.
been there, you know this. Um, and so there were days where the winds were too high and it was too dangerous to enter into Nassau. So we would just skip it. And that happened quite frequently, actually.
Right. So again, another thing you have to be prepared for. It, like your itinerary may and could change. So
Hmm.
you have to roll with it, basically. With the waves. You're rolling with the waves.
Hmm. Well, excellent.
Yes.
Now, you got Namibia tomorrow. Is that what you said?
Yes, that is correct.
And then after
And
that, it's onward to South Africa.
right. So one more day at sea, and then we head into Cape Town. And actually, it's an overnight as part of the cruise itinerary where you
Hmm.
are the ship is your hotel for one night
Hmm.
before it actually physically ends, as far as the end of the world, holiday extravaganza that we're on.
Hmm.
So that's kind of neat too. So always, I think too that you always pay for it in some way, but it's nice to have the ship as your hotel
Yeah,
as an
absolutely.
overnight.
Now, are you
Yes.
spending a few days in Cape Town or are you heading back to Barcelona? What's the plan after that?
So part two of O's Snowboard 2026 adventure, we're going to the Canary Islands. Back to the Canary Islands.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. I'm hoping Wi-Fi is better.
I'm sure it will be. Well,
Yeah.
it's an amazing adventure, amazing trip. People can follow your posts on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes, and you can check out her website too, onantaforbes.com. Good stuff, Onanta. Here's to smooth sailing.
Absolutely. Take care.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast or any show segment ideas. You can also email me too with any questions or segment ideas you might have. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And check out our social media pages too at facebook.com/informedtraveler, Instagram at Informed Traveler, or on X at Informed Traveler. That's where you'll find a number of videos and reels from our adventures throughout the year and the past year, and audio clips from our past shows. Plus, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter. It's released at the beginning of every month. Our January issue is now available. Just go to our website, theinformedtraveler.org, click on the newsletter button, and it'll take you right there. Or, better yet, you can subscribe to it and have it arrive in your inbox each month. Well, every year, Rewards Canada comes out with their list of the top travel reward credit cards. So we're going to find out which ones should be in your wallet. So joining us now to do that is Patrick Sojka. He is the founder of Rewards Canada. Rewardscanada.ca is the website. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Randy. Happy New Year to you.
We are going to talk about Canada's best travel rewards credit cards, and we can really get bogged down in a whole lot of numbers, but different types of cards. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to talk about the two categories that you have, and your website breaks it down quite nicely if people are looking for more categories. So we're going to talk about the travel rewards card, the best travel rewards card, and then the
Yes.
best travel credit card. But before we get into all that, I was just looking at all the different categories and different cards. This must be quite a job to go
Um,
through all of these things and
yeah.
rank them.
You know what? I will say it used to be. The good thing is I've been doing it. This is now our 18th annual for credit card rankings. So it's kind of set in place. It's just when new cards come along or if card changes come along. So it's just making sure I keep all, up with all of those. In the past year, we did see about at least a half a dozen new travel credit cards come out. You had Porter Airlines come out with their credit cards, so I had to give those consideration and see how they fit into the whole mix. Scotia came out with like an ultra premium version of their Passport Infinite card, so I have to take all those into consideration. And then there's changes that happen throughout the year too. Programs, like TD improved their first class Visa Infinite card, so that actually bumped their card up a little bit in the rankings. So I mean it is a constant line of work, but luckily I think because I've been doing it long enough, I kind of have the outline done beforehand.
So what's the criteria? Like what makes a good travel rewards card in
All
your
right.
mind?
So in travel rewards, and I'm going to make that distinction. So this year we're making a distinction between travel rewards and travel. So travel rewards are really, it's more about the points earning and the points value. And then travel without the rewards, like just the travel credit cards, more about, kind of the benefits and extras they give you while you're traveling or when you want to travel. So it's kind of those two distinctions because there are cards out there, like the best travel rewards credit card is the American Express Cobalt card. It's been there for 9 years now. Such a machine when it comes to earning points and value for points, but it doesn't have extras. It doesn't have like lounge access or no foreign transaction fees. It doesn't offer some of those extra benefits. So that's why we kind of want to make that distinction, because a lot of our readers are like, well, you know what, I do have the Cobalt card, but what's the best one for me when I'm in Switzerland or in Thailand or somewhere, or I'm going to these places, what cards can I use? And that's something that we also want to tell people is that it is a lot of times better to be carrying more than one credit card. And there's multiple reasons. I mean, you have Visa, MasterCard, Amex. They all have all their different card offers, but they also have individual offers just for the brand. Like you can use a Visa card and maybe get 10% off, with some airline. I've seen they've had, discounts with Air Canada where if you use any Visa card, you'll get a discount. American Express has the same thing. They have like this special hotel deals. MasterCard does the same thing. So I kind of tell people you want to kind of carry one from each. You can have one main card that you pay an annual fee on, and the others can be no annual fee if if you're adverse to paying, a lot of annual fees. And the other main reason too is when you're traveling is if something happens where one card gets, compromised, you have a backup card.
Exactly.
It's always good to have. So it's always good to have at least 2 or 3 credit cards. And I've always said, if you can go with three, and have one Amex, one MasterCard, one Visa, and that way you're covered for everything. Because here in Canada, like you go shop at a Costco warehouse, you can only use a MasterCard. So there's all these little things that we take into consideration. And that's, when you say what we take into consideration, even take in human aspects. Like I said, Porter Airlines has their new credit cards, but for a lot of Canada, there's not a lot of utility because Porter doesn't fly to Regina. They don't fly to Whitehorse. They have a very limited route capacity at this time. So it's a strong card for those, say, in Ontario and Quebec, but for those of us like in Alberta and BC, unless you're flying Porter a lot to Toronto or to Ottawa, there's not a lot of utility to that credit card. So these are all things we take into considerations, like how many cities can you fly to, what are the airline partners? That's why the Aeroplan cards still do really well, because they have, over 40 plus partners where you could redeem your points on, earn points on. So there's a lot of things that we take into consideration as factors for, ranking these credit cards.
Well, you mentioned that the American Express Cobalt card is the top ranked rewards card. So what makes it the top rank, and what does it do better than anybody else?
So it's great on earning points. You earn 1, 2, 3, or 5 points per dollar, and the 5 points per dollar is on eats and drinks. So groceries, dining, bakeries, coffee shops. So things that we do every day, and you're earning 5 points per dollar. I will put a caveat that's capped at $2,500 per month. but still for most people, that's not a problem. The average,
That's a lot of food.
that's a lot of food. I mean, the average, they just released, there's a study every year. The average family of four is going to spend about $17,000 on groceries alone this year. And that cap there is 30,000. So it gives you 17,000 for groceries, 13,000 for dining. So for most people, that's totally fine. And you can earn those 5 points per dollar. So it's a strong points earning card. But where it really shines is on the redemption side, because it gives you every reward pretty much possible under the sun. So you got any travel at any time. So you can go and book a flight directly with Air Canada, book with WestJet, your favorite travel agent. You can use the card there. And then when the charge shows up on your account, you redeem points against the charge. You don't even have to have the full amount. If you're buying a $3,000 all-inclusive vacation and you have $1,000 worth of points, you can redeem $1,000 and then you've only paid $2,000 for your vacation. But then they also have like a reward chart, just like your classic traditional frequent flyer chart, where it's like 20,000 points for this region, 35,000 for this region. Amexes are a little different, but I'm just throwing numbers out there. But they have that chart as well, where you can redeem points. And here's where you kind of look at the value. It's like, well, you can get up to 2 cents per point in value using that chart. And because you're earning 5 points per dollar, if you redeem at that 2 cents level, that's actually a 10% return on your spending already. So that's huge. Like cashback cards, a lot of cashback cards only giving you 1, 2, 3%, maybe 5% if you're lucky on like groceries and that. So it gives you big value there. There you have two very flexible redemption options. But then they have airline partners. They have Air Canada Aeroplan, Air France, KLM Flying Blue, British Airways, and you can convert to all of those programs 1-to-1. So basically, the Cobalt card at earning 5 points per dollar is earning 5 Aeroplan points per dollar. No other card can earn that many Aeroplan points per dollar. So it's actually the strongest Aeroplan earning card in market. And with Aeroplan, then you get to the huge, and I should say, not just Aeroplan, Air France, KLM Flying Blue, which I will also say on January 3rd, American Express improved that conversion. It used to be that it would take 1 Amex membership rewards point to get 0.75 Flying Blue miles. It's now 1-to-1. So they actually improved it by 33%. So all of those programs, Air Canada, Air France, British Airways, those are the ones where you get the option to redeem. You can use points for business class flights, first class flights, because you can redeem Aeroplan points on Emirates. You can redeem British Airways, Avios on Qatar Airways. So that's where you get to your luxury travel. And a lot of times those business class flights are providing, we'll go back to this cent per point valuation. People are getting 4 or 5 cents per point. So if you're earning 5 points per dollar, times that by 5 cents per point, that's like a 25% return on your spending. Like it's mind blowing, the potential. And I'll say potential value, because those aren't guaranteed redemption rates, because it all depends on what the cash cost is of your flight and all that. And then people also throw in the thing. It's like, well, would you have ever spent $7,000 to fly business class? And if people say no, I would have only spent $2,000. Well, that's your value is $2,000 then. So there's so many different things in the way people calculate value, but just the fact that the Cobalt card is so flexible that they give you every possible redemption option. You want to go fly business class by redeeming Aeroplan points, you can do it. You want to fly economy class with Flair Airlines, you just book your flight direct with Flair and then redeem your points against that charge. So it gives you every option.
Nice. I do like those charts, though, because then you can decide based on the number of points you have where you want to go. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And we do have, you have American Express has the charts, Avion, RBC has the charts, and CIBC Aventura does the charts as well. And then, of course, the airlines, Aeroplan's kind of in between. They do dynamic pricing, but they give you a chart so that you kind of know where the points start at. So they publish a chart, but it's not a guaranteed rate, but it kind of gives you a good idea of what, roughly you'd be spending. Aeroplan, there's huge value there when you redeem for their partners, because that is a set amount. It's not the dynamic pricing. So, if you want to fly Lufthansa business class, Swiss business class, ANA, All Nippon Airlines out of Japan, they all price out at a flat rate with Aeroplan. So if you can find availability, those are always a great deal too.
And and again, going back to your website, people can find all the different categories on rewardscanada.ca. But you also say that it is individualized, because what might be a good card for me may not be a right fit for you, right?
That's right. So, American Express does very well in our rankings, but if you're somebody who does all your grocery shopping at a Loblaw branded grocery store, like say Real Canadian Superstore, Loblaws, Zehrs, No Frills, they don't accept American Express. So right there, that becomes an issue for some people. So you have to look at like MasterCard or Visa. So you have to look at your spending habits, shopping habits. Some people are very heavy Costco shoppers. That's where they do majority of their shopping. So that's where cards like the WestJet card shines, because you're earning 1.5 WestJet points per dollar spent at Costco because it's a MasterCard. A lot of MasterCards, you don't earn actually a lot at Costco. So, and then the same thing, Air France, KLM, we talked about them with American Express. They have their own MasterCard here in Canada, which you can use at Costco. And that's a hidden gem about the Air France, KLM Flying Blue program, is you can redeem their miles on WestJet flights, even domestically within Canada. So you could use them for Calgary to Winnipeg, even though it's Air France, KLM miles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the top travel credit card now. This is when I'm actually traveling around.
Yes.
What are some of the benefits? The top. First of all, what is the top card, and what are the benefits? What makes it the best one?
Yeah. So the top card is a Scotia Passport Visa Infinite card. This is the one I've been, ever since it launched. It's been quite a few years. It's a very well-rounded card. This is one that does everything very well. It may not be the best in any single category, but because it's very good in all the categories, it's just such a well-rounded card. The reason why it's good for travel is that it gives you airport lounge access membership. So it gives you Visa Airport Companion with 6 visits per year. So right there, those visits, typically, if you don't have those, it costs you $32 US. So right there, there's over $180 US in value just from the airport lounge access and those passes. And those passes are good for, Aspire lounges like here in Calgary, Plaza Premiums like in Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto. It just gives you really good access to the lounges. But then it also, one of the big things with this card is it's no foreign transaction fees. So if you are outside of Canada and you are spending, your hard-earned money somewhere out there, you're saving that average 2.5% that most cards in Canada charge. So for people who are unaware, most cards in Canada, and I say most, I think there's only a dozen that don't do this. So out of over 230 cards, probably about 215, 220 charge a foreign transaction fee every time you make a purchase that's not in Canadian dollars. And that fee ranges from 1.5% to 3%. Most cards are 2.5%. So right there, if you are a big spender outside of Canada, and I should even say, or if you shop a lot online from outside of Canada.
That's right.
This card saves you some big money. I know people who get this card even for their business because they import, and the people they import from accept credit cards. So that even saves their business 2.5% by doing that.
Well, it all adds up, right? It's not hard. Like if you're spending $1,000, $2,000 on a vacation while you're there or while in transit, which is not hard to do.
No, exactly.
That's $25, $50
exactly.
right there
every time you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then so it does that, and then its earn rates. So a lot of the cards, so I shouldn't say a lot of cards, but some of the other cards have no FX fees. Like there's another Scotia card that has no FX fees. They don't give you the accelerated earn rates outside of Canada, whereas this one does. So if you're buying groceries, say you're staying at an Airbnb or renting a condo outside of Canada, I know a lot of people go to Mexico for a month at a time. Mm-hmm. This card, you're still going to earn your 2 points per dollar on groceries instead of 1 point per dollar. Or same with dining. So you still get your accelerated earn rates outside of Canada. So and you're saving your 2.5%. So it gives you really good value.
Yeah, double value.
Yeah, exactly. So that is why it's just kind of that well-rounded card. Here in Canada, it still does, you get 1, 2, you get 3 points per dollar. It's a Scene Plus card, so you get 3 points per dollar at their Empire store. So that's like Sobeys, Safeway, places like that. So it's a decent earning card. Like I said, it's not the best points earning card out there, but it's not the worst either. And the beauty with Scene Plus program, when you have one of their credit cards like this one, you can do the same thing as the Cobalt card. You just book any travel you want with whomever you want. So you can go to Air Canada, go to WestJet, Expedia, you book that travel, and then you redeem your points against the charge. And again, you don't have to have the full amount of points. And they give you up to 12 months after the charge post to redeem. So you can actually fund your vacation after you're done your vacation.
it's very complicated.
It is.
When
there's
you
a
start
lot of
diving
steps.
into it. Did you say there's 230 credit cards?
Something like that in Canada. Yeah. Now they're not all rewards cards. There are majority are these days, but you have cash back, you have low interest, you have balance transfer. There are so many. And then credit unions have their credit cards. Even here, like here in Alberta, we have ATB has their own credit cards, Service Credit Union has their own credit cards. There are so many. And then you have like Aeroplan themselves, between their three banks, there's 11 different cards from Aeroplan alone. So yeah, there are so many to pick, and that's that's what these rankings, like you said, and as you said, it comes down to the individual, and that's my whole goal with these rankings, is to help you or help the individual get closer to making that choice. I feel like, do you want to use our rankings? You can. I'll say you can use our rankings without doing more research. You will be happy with any of the cards that are in the top 5. That's what we try to make sure, that any of the top 5 cards will do that job very well. But it doesn't hurt to do even more research, because you need to find out, it's like, you know what, America's Express may not be right for me, or this card, I'm actually pushing more for, I would like to have better insurance coverage on my travels. And that, by the way, that Scotia Passport Visa Infinite is really good on insurance as well. So that's another thing, when you're traveling.
That's another topic for another day.
yeah. So, there's other cards out there. I mean, it only ranks 5th in our travel, but National Bank of Canada's World Elite Mastercard is considered one of the best insurance cards in Canada. So nice. So these are all things you need to take into consideration. It's like, what do you need the most? Is it rewards? Is it benefits? Is it insurance? And that's, again, then you can even split it up too. You can get, if you get yourself the Amex Cobalt card, that's your points earning machine. Then you get yourself something like the Passport Visa Infinite, that's your travel card with the benefits. And then you could get like that National Bank World Elite MasterCard because, for insurance, and you've covered yourself. You have Amex, Visa, and MasterCard covered. You've covered yourself for insurance, benefits, and earning.
There you go. As long as you pay them off.
As long as you pay them, yeah.
Not promoting anybody going into huge debt with
yeah. You definitely, and that we got to stress that as well. You need to be financially responsible. The rewards you earn on these credit cards do not come even close to the interest that you pay if you're running a balance.
Absolutely. That is very true. Well, it's the 18th annual edition of Rewards Canada's top travel rewards credit cards. You can find the complete list on the Rewards Canada website, rewardscanada.ca. And the guy behind all the work is Patrick Sojka. He is the founder of Rewards Canada. Again, their website, rewardscanada.ca. It's fun chatting with you, Patrick. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Randy.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.